And what is up, everyone? I see we have one viewer already. That's great. That's great. I'm Joe DeHoyos. I'm the host of Beyond the Woodline. And today I have with me Unexplained Paranormal of Massachusetts. There's Kim, Aaron, and Dave. How
Hey,
you guys
everybody.
doing?
Hi.
We're doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks a lot for doing the show. I really appreciate that.
Well, thanks for the invite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very excited.
Yeah, man. It was really cool talking to you guys before we got to come on the air and um, learn a little bit about each other. Hi, Isabel. Thanks for joining.
Hey,
Um,
Well,
is that one of y'all's friends? Thanks for joining, Isabel. I appreciate that. So just right off the bat, man, where'd you guys get the name from? Unexplained Paranormal. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but what made you go with that?
well, our founder, John McCogan, he created the team in 2013. So he had come up with the name. We were Unexplained Paranormal Research. Um, and then we changed to Unexplained Paranormal Mass because he moved to Georgia. And
So
so it kind of like,
he's the extension of the team down there. They do paranormal, but they also do cryptids. But I think his idea behind the name itself, when it was UPR, Unexplained Paranormal Research, was really not to lock the team into a box of just ghosts and hauntings, because there's a lot of things that are unexplained that can be considered paranormal. So it opened the door to even you start investigating other claims of other things, like UFOs, Bigfoot, that kind of
yeah.
stuff. Just keeping an open mind when we went into places where people said they had strange experiences.
Right. Have you guys seen that show? It's called Two Faces the Gray. It's on Amazon Prime.
I have not, but maybe we'll have to check it out later.
Yeah.
What's it
Yeah,
called?
and you talk about keeping an open mind. Um, they were a paranormal team, and they actually went. They did an investigation of, I think it was like a warehouse or something like that, and they caught a figure looking in the doorway and coming back out.
Mm-hmm.
One of those peekers.
Yeah.
And
Those get-
initially they thought they got like a ghost, like an apparition. And then as time went on, they actually found out that they actually got a grave on the film.
Oh,
Yeah, so
wow.
it's a really really cool documentary. If you guys ever get a chance to look at that, it's on Amazon. It's called Two Faces the Grave.
Okay.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll definitely
That
check
is
it out.
really really good. It's really good.
Okay.
And they had a lot of strange experiences. Of course, one of the guys actually had the Men in Black show up at his house and tell him not to show that film.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool.
That would freak me out a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, there really might be something to this video.
Yeah, yeah. I think that all that's pretty. It's just pretty crazy, when you watch it and you see what the team went through, what they experienced, and like I said, they were a paranormal team, and they thought they had an apparition. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it.
No,
If you
don't.
guys haven't seen it, check it out.
That sounds
I'll be
great.
the one running in the other direction.
Yeah.
No, sir.
I know,
You
I'm
wouldn't do
kidding.
that.
No, it happens, man. I got friends that have gone out into the field and they tell me, "Yeah, we saw this and we took off running." I'm like, "Man, why'd you run? You're not supposed to
So
run."
when I first started on the group, I would be the one to jump behind one of the team members when something happened. Because not that I was so psyched to be part of a team and I was learning this and it was a lot of fun. But when you're like in a dark basement
Right.
and someone's whispering in your ear and it's not one of your teammates, you kind of want to hide behind something.
Right.
Or something touches you, you definitely like, ah.
Yeah, it's a strange experience. Like I said, when we
That
were
fight or
talking before we
flight
got
kicks
came on
in.
the air, when I got poked in the ribs that time, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I was sitting on the edge of the bed. Of course, it was dark,
Yeah.
and I was contemplating my life decisions and choices.
Oh,
Had to go to work, and I got poked right in the ribs. Like someone just like jabbed me right in the ribs, and that was
yeah.
just the strangest thing that ever happened to me. Well, one of the strangest things that ever happened to me in that house, besides, hearing the actual footsteps of somebody walking in that house.
Yeah, we get that
Yeah.
everywhere, basically.
Yeah.
We go. I'm the one that gets startled by a human that comes around the corner that I don't know is there.
Oh yeah, Yeah, that happens too.
It's usually me.
So, what got each of you guys started, and whoever wants to go first into this paranormal field?
Go ahead.
Well, Kim and I both started at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, that's all.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
what got you
For
interested?
me,
Oh,
so growing up, I always had like really strange experiences and things that were unexplained. So it's always just been kind of a real big interest of mine all through my life. I would do my own investigations just on my own, just having a little fun. And I was living in Carver for a couple of years. My son had started kindergarten, and his best friend wound up being John, our founder's son, also. And he was said he was looking for investigators, so I put in an application. I met with him and
Mhm.
one of his other team members at the time, and we hit it off, and been having a blast ever since. Because I was finally being able to like be part of a group that was taking things seriously. Because everybody can go to a haunted location on their own. It is a lot of fun. Um, it was also a big learning curve though, because you approach it much differently when you're an investigative group and you're trying to determine whether or not something is haunted or something's going on in a place.
Or if there's a reason that you can debunk, because
Exactly.
we've done that before too.
So our approach is always from day one, we are taught you go into a place, you get the information, and then you try and start figuring out everything but paranormal.
right. We try to debunk everything first.
Yeah, we want to find
But
a
with an
plausible
open mind,
reason why somebody hears a bump in the night. It could be plumbing. It could be ventilation systems. People are feeling weird. Do you have high EMFs? These are the things we always look at first. We take our baselines and we start from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be raccoons in the attic, right?
I know exactly.
Right.
Our nosy neighbors. I don't know.
Yeah.
The girls know my story is when I was about 20, my brother was killed by a drunk driver. And after he was buried, I was down in my basement of our house. And I don't know why, but something possessed me to open the door to where my oil heater was. And on the wall was an arrow in chalk. And I was, what the heck is that? So looked right past, there was another arrow, and it went all the way to the oil tank. And on the oil tank, it's hi, it's Doug. And that was my brother's name.
Oh.
And that had not been there before.
Oh.
So that was stuck in the back of my mind. And then, like, what happened with Kim was I was notified that John was looking for team members. Would I be interested? And I said, sure. And I went for an interview, same night as Kim. And we, like she said, we all hit it off and been doing it ever since.
We trained together.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple of years later, at least, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Aaron joined a tour that we were doing, right?
You were doing a tour to raise money for the local food pantry. It was a boot camp, so you'd go on an investigation.
We would teach them how to use equipment, give them
Yeah.
the stuff.
Yeah.
How to be scared.
But see, that's I figured anything that would happen, I'd like freak out, but I didn't. I like immediately went into debunking. There was this
She
fragrance.
was like a fish in water with it.
Yeah, it was this fragrance that was going around the room, and John was following around, and no, I smell it over here now. I smell it, and I just got up and say, well, look at the plugs. Maybe it's one of those,
Right.
plug-in things or whatever. So I didn't get creeped out, and then I saw on Facebook they were looking for team members, so I sent in an application and met with them, and
Here we are.
here we are.
Many investigations later.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are some of your favorite?
When I get creeped out, it's when we're reviewing evidence.
Right.
That's when I get creeped out because I'm like,
You don't
oh my
you don't
God.
normally hear it or even see something until you go back and you review stuff. And
Right.
yeah,
One of the creepiest things that happened. So my daughter one night woke up. Well, yeah, she woke up. I was actually in the living room. I was watching TV. She came out. She goes, "Dad, there was a dark figure in one corner, and it moved to the other corner."
Yeah.
And she was scared, but like I said, and none of us felt it was evil or had bad intentions. So she was a little bit freaked out about it. So I told my son, he was man, I don't know, 15, 16 years old at the time, and I said, hey, go get my digital recorder. That's what I use when I go out bigfooting, right? I
Yeah.
said, go get my digital recorder. We're gonna do an EVP. I'd never messed with that before, but I've seen it on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're kind of standing in the living room talking. And he goes and he gets it, and because I wanted to see if the batteries were still good on it. First of all, well, he
Mm.
goes straight into the girl's room. He comes out, man. He is white. He is like pale as a ghost. He's like, Dad, you got to hear this. And he plays it, and he says, "Is there anybody here with us?" And you hear a voice go, "Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah."
Yeah.
Well,
We've
that
had
was
a few of those that
Oh,
make you
yeah.
go, whoa.
Yeah.
yeah. That was pretty freaky. I said, "Yeah, your little butt won't do that again, will you?" It was funny. Well, yeah, that was a creepy. It wasn't creepy. One night I woke up and there was a dark figure standing next to the bed and it moved towards me, and I threw a kick at it, and but that was more me being scared of it than it like trying to hurt me or whatever,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so you know,
It's just
like
a
nobody.
reaction.
Yeah, it was just a reaction. There was a dark figure there, and it scared the hell out of me. So,
Yeah.
Well, I think it would scare the hell out of anybody.
right.
Yeah.
But when I woke up, I knew that it wasn't like a person. I knew it was something else,
Right.
Yeah.
But it still scared me, because I instantly knew what it was, and then when it moved towards me, it scared the hell out of me.
I think when we're on investigations, we're safety in numbers. But I think if something happens like on our own, like when we're by ourselves, we might get a little more freaked out than when we're working,
Yeah. It's
Right.
so when we're on investigation, the rule number one is you don't go off by yourself. And if it's someplace we've done a couple times, and you're a little more comfortable there, that's okay. But if someone's asked us to come in, it's really very rare that you'll leave somebody alone. Like
Mm.
I remember at one private residence, I was laying down on a bed trying to experience a story that I was told, but there was a team member like right on the other side of the wall. So we never separate.
Yeah, and that's also everyone has personal experiences, but it's also if something happens, there's more than one person that witnessed it.
I'm way
Right.
too afraid to do it by myself.
That's
Yeah,
I think that's the major reason. It's validation, even if we don't catch it on equipment. At least we've experienced it.
Yeah.
And we usually don't present that to clients either if it's
Yeah,
a personal
no.
experience that we haven't caught.
We only give them anything that, and we don't tell them it's anything either. We'll be like, oh, so we caught this on the audio recorder. What do you think it says? We'll tell you what we think it says, and we don't, unless it's something like obvious,
Right.
we're gonna give the client the information, go over it with them, answer their questions as best we can, and let them make their own decision.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you guys do residential?
Yep. Yep. We just want to help people.
Right.
We
Yeah.
haven't found anything bad. Found a whole bunch of different personalities.
Right.
Well, there was one time
I was
where
gonna say there's one questionable one.
there was one questionable one that
That I don't want to talk about that one.
that wasn't a good situation.
No. Yeah, all around, and yeah, that wasn't a good situation. But we've been to some really cool places. We've investigated the Middleborough Town Hall, Middleborough, Massachusetts. Their town hall in this area is just famous for being haunted. And I just happened to be friends with one of the selectmen there, and he got us into doing the investigation there. And that was probably
Freaky.
Yeah, one of the best, aside from the camp that cannot be named that we went to.
Yeah, we have a lot of confidentiality.
Right.
Things we can't say, but that the camp though, that was
Freaky.
That was freaky.
I think there was more than one. There's definitely more than one spirit there, but also I think we could throw in some elementals to that.
What makes it fun is we were at that camp, and I was standing at the top of the hill, and there's a building at the bottom where the doors to the restrooms are, and on the right is the ladies' room, and on the left is the men's room. All the team members were in a cabin going over stuff. I'm looking down, and I saw a person walk into that restroom, It's the only entrance in, only entrance out, or exit out, I guess. I went booking down there, which is very brave of me. I'm just going to say, I'm not that person to do that. I went booking down there and go storming into the bathroom. I'm like, who's here? And there was nobody there.
Yeah, we had a lot of
Yeah.
full figured dark shadows
Yeah.
darting in between the trees.
We've had a lot of fun.
Going past the windows where some of the buildings that had computers, they were just dim lights, and we'd see it pass through the window. On the spirit box, it called us all by name at one point or another.
Yeah. I think all the good stuff, though, happens like when we don't have the cameras rolling or we don't have a voice recorder going. So we've gotten ourselves into the habit. And I don't know, if you could do investigations, you go in, you kind of do a preliminary, you talk to whoever's in charge of that area, whether it be, more of a public place or a private residence. We just immediately start the camera because it always happens
while you're setting up.
When you're setting up. So we always have one camera going, just hopefully to catch something.
So just real quick, I don't mean to interrupt, but somebody had a question.
No.
I'll put it up on the screen. It says, how do you protect yourself from entities attaching to you? I have floating energies that keep coming back to my house. 2 nights in a row. Second night, it heard me tell my husband it was back and it stopped, rotated, and waited for me to come out. I did.
Tell it to leave.
They keep coming back, almost protecting my home.
Well, that's the first thing is, do you feel fearful?
That's true, yeah.
Do you have a feeling of dread? Does it make you feel uncomfortable? If you're feeling it's protecting, and maybe it is,
Leave it alone. Yeah.
But if it is bothering you and it's a regular spirit, you can just say, hey, you can set some ground rules. And they usually follow them. They might not go away, but they'll follow your ground rules.
That's one of the things we've learned is that you have to be in charge. You can't let the spirit or the ghost or whatever it is be in charge. You have to lay down the rules and say, I don't want you here anymore. Leave.
Yeah, and we introduce ourselves at the very beginning, and we make it very clear that they are not allowed to follow us when we leave or leave with us. And we reiterate that again when we close out the investigation. We say goodbye. We try to be extremely respectful, and again we say you have to stay here. You're not allowed to follow us home.
Right.
We've been saged a few times too.
Yeah.
So
do you think prayers help?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I think anything that you believe is going to help because it's about your energy and you having that control and make, setting your boundaries. And if you show respect to what's there, they're going to show respect back to you.
If you want them to leave, you can ask, firmly ask them to leave.
And if they don't, well, then I guess you can't. I don't even know how to answer that one.
No.
If they don't, get a water gun with holy water. See, I like that.
Yeah.
That works for me.
If not, get a 9mm.
If not, get a 9mm.
That's Lupe. I shouldn't encourage that behavior.
Yeah.
During dangerous storms, I have hundreds on my home and cars and blocking my entryway. My home wasn't damaged. Both houses on either sides were damaged. If they're going to protect your home, I'd leave them there.
Yeah, exactly. If they're protecting your house, don't bother them.
Yeah. That same thing happened to me too, Isabel, a while back. I put protection around my house though, so it could be angels too.
Yeah, because she said it was. I'm going back to where she said I have floating energies. So what could that be? Floating energies. I mean,
it could be anything if they feel protective.
It could be guardian angels and how they present themselves. It just could be something that was already there that it feels very protective.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It could be something attached to the land, maybe. And
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it could be native.
Be anything.
Yeah.
I think if they're not hurting you or harming you or intentionally trying to scare you.
Right. Sometimes they just want to be acknowledged.
Yeah, when I first read the question, I thought it was like, how do you make them go away? I'd be like, just tell them to leave. You don't want them to leave, but maybe if you're getting a little freaked out, you can just say, hey, this is a little too much for me, and they'll back off.
Right. Right. Yeah. So yeah. So
So
how?
There's another thing that Isabel could do if she doesn't want them around anymore. Is she could get some sage and walk around the house and do a cleansing of her house with the sage.
hey, Professor.
Hi, Professor.
Hey,
Uh,
Professor.
Protection, Isabel, going back to her question, is just energies. You kind of just picture white light, just and develop. What's the word? Around
I
your
envision
house.
Envelop.
Ignore her.
Yeah, envelop. Thank you.
I envision for myself or even my property or whatever I'm
Mhm.
trying to protect in just like a white light,
Yep, it's just white
and that
light.
nothing can penetrate it unless I wanted to.
You can call on archangels, guardian angels to come and just visualize them like up on your roof or your property and just protecting that works. So yeah, it's whatever you're comfortable with.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go back to your camping story you guys were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and you said there were elementals there. What kind of
Yes.
elementals were there?
We don't know.
Don't
This
know.
was kind of my first experience with them, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But you want to tell the story? That was just weird.
Well, there was a couple of them. So there's stables there, and we were in the paddock, and we were just kind of walking around checking things out, and
Weren't we watching the
We're watching
the
the
shadow
watching
going by?
well,
the
that's
windows?
another one. That was a
Oh,
different.
okay.
That was
we were in the stable though because that was where the young boy had supposedly been thrown from the horse,
correct.
and we were trying to see if we could contact him.
That was one time, but I was talking about when you and me,
Mm.
when we heard, like, we were hearing
that
things
was
in the
before-
woods,
okay.
and like we were both experiencing at the same time, and then you would see things darting between the trees, like
Mhm.
shadows. And yeah, that happened when all three of us were down there,
Mm-hmm.
and we would see things in the windows, lit
Mhm.
up windows in the cabins,
And we were in one of the
and lights,
And there was no one in
corral.
the cabins.
the lights on the hill. Remember?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot about
The
that.
lights up on the hill.
But we were just you and me were standing in one of the corrals with our back toward the woods, and we were watching the shadows. And at the same time, we didn't hear anything, we didn't see anything, but we both
Looked around and
screamed,
screamed. Yeah.
turned around, and jumped like 3 feet. And like
Yeah.
my scream didn't set her off. Her scream, it was at the same
Like,
time. To
Instantaneous.
me, that's something.
It was just
in the
like,
woods
it's not-
behind me.
We weren't touched or anything. It just was suddenly
It was
really not a good place to be.
yeah.
Okay.
And
So
it was startling, I guess is the best way to put it.
it wasn't a good feeling though.
No, it
No.
wasn't.
No.
I'm sure he would.
William's one of the best guys ever. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we love
Professor, I
we
did
love
not. I did
Professor.
not run screaming, Professor. All right.
He just falls downstairs.
Yeah.
Okay. Every group has a one guy who falls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've all. I don't think I've fallen yet, but see, I don't want to set myself
I
up.
have.
So it could happen. It could happen.
I'm the guy that falls down in the mud. So Lupe will tell you that.
But we think we got an elemental on audio too when we were doing private investigation at a house in Middleborough, and the woods behind it, creepy,
Just a
it was
bad
Indian,
feeling, like
yeah.
a heavy feeling.
So Kim and I had gone out and we're kind of just
At the wood line.
at the wood line, yeah,
We were.
walking.
We were literally at the wood line.
Oh, I remember this.
Remember
Okay,
that?
yeah.
We didn't
saw
go beyond
something.
the wood line,
You
though.
didn't go beyond the wood line.
We
you
did
see.
not.
Okay.
But I saw lights in the wood, like almost like heat lightning, but it was
Right.
cold out. And then walking back up to the house, we kept feeling like someone almost like pulling on our shoelaces
So
at the same. Yeah,
I was
it
walking
weird.
in front of Aaron, and I had good sneakers on. The laces were tied, and I kind of like tripped a little bit, and I looked down because I thought I
The
either,
shoe was untied.
you know, if you're
Yeah.
walking through the grass and like a twig gets kind of caught on your feet, that
Mhm.
feeling. that's what, and I looked down and nothing. And then Erin said something, and I'm like, "Do you feel like something's pulling on your feet?" And she was like, "Yes, exactly."
Yeah.
And it was very weird. And it was just a heavy feeling. And again, so this is not something that we would call evidence,
Right.
but we chalk it up again to that personal experience and half the fun of doing an investigation, I guess.
Yeah. And then we had the room closest to where this had happened. We had
Good EVP activity.
the spirit box was on,
Yep.
plus our audio recorder, and we were getting stuff through the spirit box, and other things were going on. But when we listened to it back, we heard on the audio not coming through the spirit box
Yeah,
at
this
all.
was disembodied.
This was disembodied, nothing to do with that. Backwoods, go into the woods.
Yeah, go into the woods.
And it was,
We didn't want to go into the woods.
we didn't know until we reviewed it. And it wasn't a normal voices that we had been getting through the whole night. And then actually we played some of this on one of our shows, and one of our viewers caught, after it saying go into the woods, something else coming up after that and basically saying, no, don't go.
Yeah.
Don't
Oh,
go.
wow.
Yeah. So that was creeped out listening to that a little bit.
I think that the creepiest part for me was where this house is located. If you look on a map, like a Lotus map or something, those woods abut up to the back of the woods of the Oliver house in Middleborough, which is another place that we investigated. In their backwoods,
There's stuff in there.
we had guests there who had experiences. We had experiences like we would hear someone walking behind us in these dark woods, and you'd whip around. David with his flashlight.
First they hit
Lighthouse
my
Dave,
eyes,
shoot.
and then it hit something else.
Nothing there. So it was just, and I have a friend who knows that I do this, but he's not into it. He's a hunter, and he hunts back in those woods. And I had dinner with him and friends just a few weeks ago, and didn't mention anything about that house or those woods. And he was talking about, I was like, yeah, I was hunting back there. And he looks at me and he goes, Kim, those woods are really haunted. And I just looked at him and I said, oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, people, we live in a very small community. I live in Carver. Middleborough's the next town over. 12,000 people, very small town. People
But
know
old.
everybody.
Yeah.
Old. So these stories get around. So, when I have my friend saying that and telling me stories about those woods, I'm like, so we're not crazy.
No, of course
Things
we're
are
not.
really happening back there.
Plus part of it is that we're also in the Bridgewater Triangle.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
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 So
that's
yeah,
a good area.
it definitely, and we do have a medium that's part of our team.
Yep.
As soon as we walked into the house, we were just talking about.
God.
She said, I get an elemental feeling?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know the people." So I said, "I do too when I come over
But
here."
the homeowners also had experiences on their back deck
Right.
Mhm.
that
That's
seemed
where I
very elemental as well.
Yeah. And then inside, it seems like whatever's outside, the things that are inside
Are
is
protecting
protecting
What's outside.
what's outside.
Very interesting.
I believe we got confirmation of that.
Yes,
too.
interesting dynamic in that house and
Yeah.
that situation.
Yeah.
But
So like the elementals are something I've just recently got involved with too. So got involved, but started doing more research on it. So that's something I think it's probably my next little subject that I'm gonna dive
Well, if
into.
you ever find yourself up in Massachusetts, give us a ring. We'll take you to the Bridgewater Triangle.
Yeah.
We camped out
Yeah.
there, and it's
It's
very
spooky.
they
interesting.
have, I have not.
Spooky. We went.
I like to have a bathroom handy.
This really is not a paranormal experience, but Kim and John, when he was up here, came up for a visit. We went out and camped out in the swamp out there, and everybody was either sleeping or just laying down, whatever. And I decided to go up for a walk up this dirt road, and I started walking, and I heard something in the woods following me. And I went about 100 feet, and I said, "Nope, I'm out of here." I almost ran back to the campfire, and whatever it was stopped. So the woods there are really
Well, that's
spooky.
paranormal.
But even earlier in that evening, that first night we camped there, I think you were there, but we started walking down this one path, and things were being thrown at us
Okay.
from these dense,
Oh, yeah.
like swamplands,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
so swampy. You can't go back there.
Right.
It's not like I don't know what it was. I mean, we didn't hit with anything, but all of a sudden you'd hear like thump,
Yeah.
like something right at the edge of the path.
Hmm.
And when I
That's
camped
interesting.
back there with John, and we took the kids, they wanted to go camping, so we're like, "Oh, go to the Bridgewater Triangle."
Yeah.
And the boys are excited. They were older. I got left alone at the camp while they all went off, and I was hearing some very strange things in the woods, to the point where I grabbed the big hunting knife out of the back of my Jeep, jumped into the Jeep, and sat there and waited for everybody to get back,
Yeah,
because I didn't know what it was.
Didn't you tell me you had something thrown at you?
Are there
though?
Bigfoot in that area?
Yeah.
There's been reportedly, yeah.
Reported
Yeah, I was
Bigfoot,
gonna say that,
Dogman, UFOs,
Yeah. See, even Isabel said
Yeah,
Yeti, maybe.
oh.
Yeah.
The big
kitten
birds.
canoodle, I guess is the best way to put it.
With the big birds.
Oh yeah, the big birds, whatever.
Thunderbirds.
The
Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds,
Mhm.
yep.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's a great area. It's one of the more popular areas that people talk about, especially like in the Bigfoot community. That always comes
Well, they
up.
say there's some areas of the Bridgewater, initially the Hockomock Swamp that no human has been into yet. That's how dense
You must
that
have
in-
seen the
is.
documentary, The Bridgewater Triangle.
Right.
If you haven't
I mean,
seen it, you should check that
yeah.
out. That's a very good documentary.
Professor wants Massachusetts.
Yes, we don't.
The
We don't
P
talk about-
word.
we don't talk
the
about the P
puckwudgies.
word.
Yeah. So yeah,
But yeah,
puckwudgies
is.
are
Our founder,
elemental Indian elementals. Actually, the Wampanoag
Yeah.
believed that they were. What did they believe that? They were devious little creatures that
yes.
lived in the woods, and
like
Yep.
imps.
so John thought he
actually
saw
one.
one. He went on the
In Plymouth.
Plymouth Ghost Tour, and they do Burial Hill,
Him and
which is
Ryan.
very famous area. It's big tourist, but we have a friend who does Plymouth Ghost Tours,
Mhm.
and John swears up and down. He didn't capture it on camera, but he swears up and down he saw what he thought might have been a puckwudgie peering
Which has
around
been described as a puckwudgie, like a bulbous head
Yeah.
and bony fingers peering out from behind a headstone.
That could
And
have
when
been,
he was with another team member who's not with us anymore, when they went to look at it, there was nothing there.
that could have been an alien too.
Yeah, it could have. Yeah, it could have been an alien. We don't know what it was. He just was like
He was
to
freaked
describe
out.
it. Yeah, he was freaked
He
out.
was
And
freaked
John
on
doesn't
that
freak
one.
out easy.
No,
But he wasn't freaked out. I think he was more excited. Like I don't know what the hell I saw, but it was really cool.
Yep.
But in our area too, there's old homes. There's just so many different things.
Well, how
that,
about all the Indian battles with
Oh yeah. I mean, it's Massachusetts,
pilgrims
Plymouth
and Indians
area,
fighting,
a lot of history.
and yeah,
but we'll do any place in New England
Yep.
that we can
Yep.
get to easy.
Yeah.
And we did do we would do some tours of for charity for some places, but we've kind of gotten out of that a little bit and just want to concentrate on helping people.
Mhm.
So
I do gator tours. No
Gator
ghost
tours, no
allowed.
ghosts allowed.
that would
Unless-
probably creep
I
me
like
out
a
more.
gator tour. I think gators are cool. I don't want to get too close,
Yeah, I know.
but they are like really cool creatures.
No, but
Yeah.
They're a little paranormal themselves.
Yeah, they are. They're very paranormal. So real quick, I got a cup here. Anybody can see this?
Bigfoot.
Oh,
Yeah,
Bigfoot.
like it.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm gonna ask a question, and whoever gets it right, you guys can participate too if you want to. If not, one of our listeners or viewers, hopefully one of you guys get the answer too.
Let the viewers.
So here's the question. There's a famous researcher, Bigfoot researcher. He was a young teenager, and he had an encounter with two Bigfoot. What happened was he walked into the woods, he saw one, and it looked at him. He fired his rifle in the air to scare it away, and then the other one showed up. Who was that researcher?
I think I saw a documentary on this not too long ago. I don't
He's
remember. I'm not
actually a very good friend of mine also. And I actually mentioned his name when I talked to you guys off the air before we came on.
Now we're being quizzed.
You didn't say there was going to be a test.
I don't
Well,
remember.
Loopy got it.
I don't remember.
Loopy got it. It was William Jevning.
Oh, good job.
And where did this happen?
I believe he grew up in Washington State.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. He was a like I don't know 14, 15 years old. He had a collie. It ran towards the woods, and before it got to the woods, it turned around and ran back.
Hmm.
And that kind of set up his red flags because that dog was fearless.
Right.
So he went to go see what it was barking at and why it came running back. When he got beyond the wood line, he walked into a little clearing. There was one Bigfoot there. He was looking down. It was moving the ground with its feet like he was just looking for something.
Mhm.
And it looked up and it saw him. It wasn't happy that he was there. And all he had on him was a 22 rifle.
Yeah.
So he fired it up in the air, hoping to scare it away. But instead, another one showed up and it was just as angry. So,
Now it's 2 against 1. Time
Yeah.
to leave.
Time to leave,
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah, Washington. Walla, walla.
So
Yeah.
one of our Georgia members, Cindy, she
Congratulations, Loopy. So,
she had an experience as a child with a Bigfoot. I'll let her. You'll have to have them on one of these nights because she'll talk your ear off about Bigfoot. She's had so many experiences with Bigfoot.
Or
She's
Yeah.
they go Bigfoot in the Georgia out in the Georgia
Nice.
Blue Hills, and
Yeah.
they've had some really cool experiences out there.
yeah, Georgia's a pretty good state for that kind of stuff. People, there's a lot of encounters that come out of Georgia.
I gotta get down there, so they promise they'll take me.
We'll take all of us.
I know.
Road
Yeah.
trip.
I'm
Yes, you are a wiener.
Hey.
Way to go, Lupe.
You finally won something.
Does he get a mug?
Yeah, he's gonna get the mug. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I had a feeling he would know the answer to that. He's a Bigfoot guy.
Yeah.
So as far as like actual like places go, places that you've been to non-residential, what are some of your favorite spots?
Well, so the camp.
The
Non-residential.
Nemasket Cemetery was good.
That was interesting.
It was. You know what I like though is I like the that old battlement in Revere.
You mean Hull?
Oh.
Fort Revere?
Hull.
Fort
Oh
Revere.
yeah, Fort Revere and Hull. Yes,
Fort Revere
thank
and
you.
Hull. That's
I really like that.
yeah.
And,
That was I enjoyed that, but I grew up around there, so I been there before.
and I think I what it wasn't quote unquote one of my favorites, but I found it one of the most interesting.
Okay.
I missed out on the U.S. Salem that you guys went to. That probably would have been my favorite because I would love to have
That was interesting, but
investigated boat.
I would have preferred to just have our team investigating it.
Yeah.
I think we would have probably gotten a little
Gotten a
bit
lot
more.
better.
But I like the camp was one of my favorites. The Middleborough Town Hall was, yeah.
Middleborough Town Hall, just for a quick story, we were all in the ballroom, and John said, let's everybody go down to the basement where where the morgue was. So, but what he
The
did was
jail
he left a
cells.
recorder on in the ballroom, and everybody there was no
Nobody up there.
the selectman was in a room downstairs, and we all went downstairs. When he played back the recording later, you can hear this piercing woman scream.
Scream.
Mhm.
Even right now, I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about it. It's the most piercing
Yeah.
scream I've ever heard.
Yeah, the Middleborough Town Hall will always be like a favorite in my heart because it never disappointed. Never. We actually gave a presentation to the selectmen at a board meeting, no less.
Yeah.
Of evidence. The screaming woman. We were down in the morgue area, so the Middleborough Town Hall is a very, very old building. And it used to the basement used to hold the morgue for the town. So
And jail
it's
cells, too.
now it's like an IT area.
Yeah.
But they say that stories say it's active. And I just remember John was down there and we were videoing him and nothing was happening. So he was like, come on. What are you afraid of? Let's play. And you can clearly hear a disembodied voice say play.
Yeah.
But it was like menacing. It was like play.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
What about spirit activity?
Yeah.
What measure with the word battle sex like Lexington?
Yeah,
We haven't done
done
anything up there.
like that.
That's a good idea to do it though.
But yeah.
Yeah, we haven't done any of those. They're not too far away. It's like a
No.
2-hour drive.
Yeah.
Lexington, I think, would be hard because it's a huge tourist area.
Yeah.
But we probably could get permission to get in there at night.
Yeah, we probably could.
You know what that is? You talking about La Llorona? Y'all know what that is?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I think we did something kind of different. We had a private residence in Plymouth.
Oh boy.
That
This place was awesome.
It was pretty active. And that's why Isabella said too, because the owner would lay down ground rules and they would follow them.
Yep.
But she lifted those and
For
left
us.
the house for us, and it didn't disappoint.
Oh my gosh.
We were
Wow.
on the third floor in a room, and we had the spirit box going and the recorder going, and it was just you and me, right? Yep. And
Yeah, 'cause I couldn't go up there.
he couldn't go up to the third floor because you get this feeling that
I didn't belong there.
he
No,
couldn't
he
go up.
just couldn't go up the stairs.
And we do go with the feelings. We get the different energies and stuff. We try to respect that too. It's just not evidence. And so we were going to leave,
take a
break and leave.
And leave the recorder running.
Well, we started to shut down. Yeah, we were going to leave the recorder running, but we started to shut down the spirit box. And you hear, no, don't.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she turned it back on and said, okay. And it said thank you, didn't it?
Yeah.
It said thank you. And so we left it there. We actually went outside for a little bit. So this was on the third floor.
What was interesting, and this is what I think makes review a lot of fun sometimes, is you can hear us going down the stairs.
Yeah.
Clunk, clunk, clunk. And we're talking to each other. And it's way in the background. And you hear a woman and man talking, going, they're leaving. Are they coming back? They left. And it's like, okay. So it's not just something random. Like hearing responses that are relevant, I guess, to what's going on.
And they were like talking amongst themselves.
Oh yeah, completely.
And one had, and there was different accents. This place was just phenomenal.
And since I for some reason I felt I couldn't go up to the third floor, I went down into the kitchen, and the owners had said that they had seen in a dining room a little girl playing or something. And I don't know. I was just sitting at the table, and I don't know what, but something drew me to the dining room. I stood in the doorway, and they had this little rocking horse, and the ear flicked. Something flicked its ear. It was I just like, okay. And I went to the second floor. I said, girls.
But in the same token, this homeowner had sent us some pictures because no one was home. But they have security cameras.
Yeah, right.
And you send the picture, and it looked like there was somebody sitting on the couch, and we were able to debunk that.
Yeah.
You had to recreate the same lighting, the same situation, and it just so happened to be like the silhouette of a pillow or something. It was something very random.
Yep.
So
But it looked like there was an old lady hunched over with a big hat on.
Yep.
But it wasn't. It was. It was just reflection and stuff like that.
We recreated it and were able to debunk that one. So,
but
she had plenty of other stuff to go with.
Yes. But just to leave it alone and hear them talking through it.
That was a first for me. That really was.
We never would have thought to do that. And when we did go up to collect our equipment and we were getting ready to leave.
Called me selfish for shutting it off.
She said, okay, we're going to shut this off now. And it said selfish.
You're selfish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, I'm not. I'm a very nice person. So,
what's some of y'all's favorite equipment to use?
I think we all have different favorite equipment.
Go ahead.
I like to use what I lovingly call the Barbie cam. Yeah. It's
It's
just
this
like
video recorder.
it's a video recorder, and it's white and gold and all shiny. But I don't know. I always get good stuff when I use that one. So that's the first thing I'll always pick up when we open the box.
I like to use a recorder because you can never know what you're going to hear when you play it back later.
Mhm.
So I like using that and walk around and ask questions and see if I get any responses that way.
Yeah, and I like the spirit box because it's instant.
The spirit box is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's instant. And I'm
But the
not
REM
patient.
pod has been a lot of fun lately too.
Yeah.
And I think the EMF detector, because if something doesn't want to talk, you can get it to do stuff with the
With an
The
EMF,
EMF.
yeah.
to answer your questions.
But we do have fun toys in our box of
Mhm.
fun.
Our equipment.
And
It's called
one of the more fun ones is we have
doorbells.
the laser sensor that will go ding dong if you cross the laser path.
Yeah.
We'll set it up in like a hallway or a stairwell.
Mhm.
And there's been a few places where it's gone off and it's been like, whoa.
Yeah, but
And-
it keeps going on and off, on and off, on and off.
yeah, like
constantly.
something's going back and forth.
Yeah, like it's walking back and forth between, in front of it.
So I like
The
that
one-
one.
That
one
could
toy-
be anything, but when you say, okay, you can talk and say, don't make it stop now, or
And it stops.
and they do.
The one thing that we have bought that we haven't really used yet because it's almost brand new is the parabolic microphone. I can't wait to use that on the next investigation.
Yeah.
That should be fun.
Yeah, COVID's kind of killed everything.
My answer to this personally is not at the time, but when doing evidence review, had I heard it at the time, I
You
definitely
would've.
probably would have wanted to leave immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, California.
That one
California.
residential home where so we were using Ghostbox, and this is completely disembodied voice, and it just basically told us to beat feet and leave now. And had I actually heard that, I think I would have been like, okay, I'm out.
Feet don't fail me now.
I know, exactly.
And if something does ask us to leave an area, we will.
Yeah, if we hear it
try
on the
and be
Ghost Box,
Yeah, we'll be respectful.
we'll be like, okay, we're coming back though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things we like to do is, we're dead serious about what we do, but we also like to have fun.
Yeah,
know?
we do. We do like to have fun.
Yeah.
We're not serious in every investigation because we laugh and joke, and because that's what they've done in their lives. So
I
Yeah.
join in.
And what we find too, and I just want to share this with people if they're going to go out on their own or if they have their own little groups,
Mhm.
is if you go to a place and it's haunted, it has a reputation of being haunted, and you go and you think that you're having no luck. What we've done is we'll stop doing this formal investigation. We'll keep the equipment running, and then we'll just sit around. We'll start chatting
yeah,
Mhm.
and hanging out and having fun and pretending like we're not even looking for anything.
Right.
And then sometimes they'll be
Yeah.
like, "What do you mean you're not?
Yeah.
You're
Hello, I'm
looking
here."
for me. Why aren't you paying attention to me now?"
Exactly.
Right.
And then you might get a response that way.
Yep.
That's a tactic that we use.
And it,
Yeah, and I think it's a good tactic because I use that when I do Bigfooting.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're just sitting around a campfire and we got recorders going off in different locations, and
Yeah.
and we'll hear stuff moving around, or it could be anything. But I think even the wildlife, if they see you sitting down, they're gonna move around and be
Mhm.
more comfortable
Yes,
with you.
So if you're familiar with the woods and you camp, and I'm a big camper, my husband and I both camp a lot, you get familiar with the sounds of the
Right.
woods, the normal sounds.
Mhm.
So when like you said, you're sitting around the campfire and you got recorders going, and if you hear something that makes you go,
Yep.
it's worth going, hey, let's look into this. This
Yeah.
might be something out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And even on our recorders for like a private residence, we'll say, do you recognize this sound? Because it might be weird to us, but it could be something they're used to all the time. It's a
Yeah.
piece of equipment, or, the refrigerator makes a weird noise, or
Right.
we usually
Those
can
ice
figure that out.
machines
Yeah.
get you every time.
Yeah.
Clunk.
But we were doing that too. We were sitting around a dining room table, and we had the spirit box going, we had the recorders going, and Dave was telling us about the ear flicking. But then he sat down right in front of the horse,
And I yelled at him.
and he
I
so
didn't really yell at him, but I
no. So he
I
was
can't see
like,
the horse,
"Oh,
Dave."
you can't see the horse." So now he's messing around and he's taking the candlesticks.
a big
Oh.
candlestick, like a big
Those two
Decorative
big,
thing.
Yeah, they were pretty nice. And he's moving them over. These out of your way, princess. Stuff like that.
we tease each other.
And we hear
Disembodied voice again.
Yeah, after we were reviewing, saying, "Be careful."
Yeah.
You
While
know,
he
'cause
was moving these,
the candles.
telling him to be, and it was a woman's voice, like she's going, "Be careful, like
Right.
don't break
Like,
this
You
stuff."
guys are messing around and
Yeah,
now
it was
you're
cool.
touching
Yeah.
those, and be careful.
I didn't listen to her.
We didn't hear her at the
I didn't hear her
time,
at the time.
Just kidding.
But
we did.
it goes back to when you're doing something, all of a sudden you got the spirit box going, and then you hear something completely outside of the spirit box. That I don't know. I love when that happens when I do a review.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I had a recorder sitting out while we were, out doing our Bigfoot thing, and I had it sitting out in the woods a little ways from our camp. And there's this other group of people pulled up, and I'm like, damn, because we were out there all by ourselves, and
Yeah.
it was at a primitive, place, and that's why we pick those kind of places because nobody goes out there,
Exactly.
Right.
Mhm.
These other people pulled up, and we're like, well, not that we cared, but they were minding their own business.
You're kind of like, bummer.
But then the hollering and the screaming started, and I'm like, man, I'm so glad I got my recorder out there, so I'm gonna record all this stuff. And
Right.
so when I came back and I'm reviewing it, I could hear those people talking, because they were closer to my recorder. And
Right.
you can hear one guy ask, "Have you ever heard that before?"
Oh, see, that's cool. So
Yeah.
kind of like a bonus that they were there because you
Yeah.
had,
Yeah.
you
So it
know,
wasn't just you that heard it.
uncollaborated,
Yeah.
evidence that they heard it too.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty.
That's
fun.
awesome.
Have you ever heard that before?
That's
So,
awesome.
do you guys have any advice for people who might want to get into the paranormal field?
Don't spend a lot of money on equipment.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah.
Is there
Just get
anyone?
some basics.
You can use your phone if you want to get started. Just have some fun.
Yeah.
Buy a little cheap voice recorder,
Mm-hmm.
a little audio video camera, and go have some fun.
Yeah, and just go have some fun, but be
Yeah.
careful how you're having fun. Always be respectful.
Obviously, don't trespass either.
Don't trespass. Be respectful.
What did John say? Oh, don't confront.
Don't
Not
provoke,
Don't
Yeah,
provoke.
we don't
Don't ever
provoke.
provoke
We don't
something.
provoke anything.
because you don't know what you're provoking.
Right.
But because I think
Or conjure. Don't conjure because you could be in for.
people want to get into it and they think they have to go and spend all like this big money on equipment. And I really don't think you need
No.
to do that. And you go to places that have a lot of stories that you heard.
Mm-hmm.
Investigate your own house. Practice with the equipment on there. If you're going to spend money on anything, I would get an EMF detector, and they're super cheap on Amazon.
Yeah, and a ghost box.
And
But-
Spirit
And the
Yeah,
ghost
ghost
box
box
is a lot of fun, but you can
Yeah.
download that. You can download that on an app on your phone. Necrophonic is one that we play
Yeah, I
with.
don't
I'm not a big
trust
fan of it,
those, yeah.
but the ghost box they're not that expensive.
No.
You can get those, but you can
Mhm.
download an app too and just play around with it.
Again, for some reason, I don't know. Maybe I'm too old school, but I don't trust the apps.
Yeah, and if it's
We
something,
would play with them.
there you
Sit in
go,
the dark
Brian.
and
You're
listen.
right. Just sit in the dark and listen.
We've done that before.
We went through a phase. I was all like, everything digital can be manipulated. Nothing can be. You can't trust any evidence. And
Yeah.
went out and got
Right.
like the old fashioned cameras and the cassette tapes and
Yeah.
so. But that would be my advice. Just
Yeah.
don't spend a lot of money. Go and have some fun.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most important part. Just have fun,
Yep.
Don't take yourself too serious, and don't take anybody else too serious.
And don't always expect that something's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah,
You can be
exactly.
there for 10 hours and you're going to get a couple good things.
We've
maybe.
gone back to
That's what I tell people. It's kind of like fishing. Sometimes you just got a
Yeah.
pole in the water, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or like when I go bigfooting, sometimes I'm just sitting on a campfire, and man, I'm happy with that.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Roasting some
Exactly.
marshmallows,
Yeah.
making little s'mores.
Have
I
a
mean,
few adult beverages.
Boys.
You can't
Love
make
s'mores.
spirits perform. They might have to get
Right.
to know you. We've had to go back to places,
Yep.
1 or 2 times, just to get them to.
And not everything is paranormal.
Yes.
That's a big one too. Um, it's exactly, Brian. It's
Exactly,
not
Brian.
like TV.
It's very boring.
It can
At
be,
times,
but we have
yeah.
fun together. Bring a
Yeah.
friend that you have fun with.
Yeah.
Honestly, and yeah, not everything is paranormal, but everything is subjective. So
Hmm.
if you have a personal experience, I mean, that's your experience. Take it and build off of it.
Right.
If somebody tells me that they saw something happened to them, I'm taking them at face value.
Hmm.
If I'm going to go to an investigation in which somebody's freaked out, I'm going to look for the plausible reason
Mhm.
again.
Right.
And if I don't have one, I'm going to tell them I don't have one.
But this is what we caught. Like
Right.
the picture that we. It was a very. I bet you if you posted it on any website, whatever, Facebook, people would think that was a picture of a ghost, but it really wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And talking, to her on the phone and having her
And
do
be
different things.
and be yeah, to your
yeah.
point, like pictures. So there's something called pareidolia.
Hmm.
So where it basically means that your brain is going to look for faces and patterns.
Yeah.
So if you get a picture and it's blurry, and suddenly you're seeing like little elves in the trees and stuff, just keep that in consideration, especially if it's something that's really pixelated and not really high def
Right.
picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like especially like a lot of the your phones, it kind of fills in the blanks by itself. People don't know that, but your camera fills in the blanks, especially when you start zooming in on it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and those pixels will get filled in by the phone. So yeah, you'll get more of that pareidolia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And something I tell people is, if you take a picture, don't zoom in on it. Post it the way it is.
Exactly.
Because when you zoom in on it, then
Didn't we
that's
just
when you-
have that problem?
We did.
yeah.
Yeah, or post the regular picture and then your zoomed in picture. But if you're posting the regular picture, the original, people can zoom in on their
On their
phones,
own.
on their,
Yeah.
We had someone
Yeah,
reach out to us with zoomed in pictures asking us, do you see it? And we kept asking this person, can we have the original picture, not the zoomed in picture?
Right.
And we never got it. So we can't answer that because it was too pixelated.
Right.
And yeah, to your point,
and no
don't zoom
background.
in. Just take the picture. And then you can go in afterwards, download it. There's a lot of great apps out there.
And not all orbs are anything paranormal.
Right.
That,
Yeah.
you got to take moisture and dust and bugs and all of that into
Dust
consideration.
mostly. Yeah.
That's something I would also add too, is that if you're going to share evidence, you got to have thick skin.
Agreed.
Mhm.
And because the paranormal field it's tough.
Same as
People
the Bigfoot
will
field.
Yeah.
people will say that you're faking it. They'll debunk it, and that's fine. If there's something that we find and we're like, we're going to post this because this is our evidence and we stand behind it,
Mhm.
people are going to shoot it down. That's okay.
Right. Yeah.
That's perfectly
mean,
And
fine.
I think there's a way to do it
Let it go.
tactfully and politely,
Exactly.
But if people are going to be jerks, I don't pay attention to them.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, we've looked at stuff and been like, oh,
It's hard when you're not
Yeah.
there too.
Yeah.
you don't know if it's faked or if it's just something weird. You're not going to go out and like, fist flying like you're faking stuff. We would never do that. Exactly.
I was going to mention you, Professor, there. Yes, he'll post a lot of stuff on his different pages, and I'm like, I don't think so. Oh,
And then you have those who take pictures, and every picture they take, they have something in it, right?
Yes.
Every single picture, yeah.
well, that happens too. If you're starting and you're taking pictures, take 3 in a row.
Right. Or
Because,
come back to it later on that day or whatever. Take another
Yeah.
picture.
but always take 3 in a row because then it's easier to tell if something's showing
Yeah,
up.
if it's a flare, lens flare, or something is reflecting.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be there in all of them.
So it's, I mean, I don't know. Thick skin,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
Just have
probably
fun.
the best
Have
advice.
fun. Have fun with it.
Have
Yeah.
fun.
Exactly.
The more you do it too, the more you pick up different things, or
And
this works.
and the more you do it, I think you attract it to you.
Mhm.
So then, and because you're becoming more open, So you can go someplace, and I literally took Aaron to an antique shop this weekend because I had gone there with
Last
my
weekend?
husband.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this past weekend. Um, went there with my husband. We just
That's a good
popped
place.
in waiting to pick up our pizza. And I'm walking around, and it just was like room after room after room. And I was by myself. And I kept seeing like somebody walking like out of the corner of my eye. I'd go, and there's nobody there. And it was just this feeling. So I called her and I said, I gotta take you here. And I want your opinion on this place because I'm swearing up and down this. There's something going on there. And we had a good afternoon
Yeah.
just hanging out and stuff. We had fun, and we got to go to a place and just kind of poke around at antiques and kind of see if anything weird would happen. So
Yeah. It's, and two, you have to go by what you're feeling. And when you walk into an energy field, that's totally different. It doesn't mean it's bad, but it's different. The energy changes. It feels heavier or even lighter, or you kind of get those senses going too and rely on those because it usually means something. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just different. I
trust
to
your
say
instincts, I
different.
guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, cool beans, guys. We already went over our hour a little bit, but anyway,
Oh.
great talking to you guys. I'd love to have you guys back on again.
Sure.
We'd
Sure, we'd love to.
Yep. We'd love to have you on our show.
Yeah, man. Anytime, just let me know. I'm always available.
Agree.
And
Liam.
yeah, just get with me and I'll do it. I'd love to do it.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
with
that's
that
great.
being said, man, thanks a lot again. I appreciate it. You guys certainly talk a lot, and I like that.
Well, thank you for having us.
I almost went and grabbed the coffee a couple times, let you guys do the show.
Sorry.
No, man, that's great. That's the best thing ever. That's the best thing ever.
That's why we like having Dr. Lester on. He can talk about anything, and I love.
Yeah,
Um,
dude. I've had him on a show 3 different times, and every time we talk about something different, and
Yep.
the
Yeah.
hour goes by like that with him. So
Yep.
he's a great guy. I love him a lot.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Oh
appreciate
man,
it.
no problem, man.
We
Definitely,
shared
I'd
the
love
link
to
to
have
your
you guys.
channel on
Yeah.
our page. So yeah.
Yeah. And if you guys aren't on my Facebook page, join it. It's Beyond the Woodline Facebook page.
Absolutely, we will.
Fan page.
Okay.
Join it, and you guys can promote your show, promote whatever you got going on. You're
Okay.
welcome to do it.
Thank
Great.
you.
Love it.
Thanks again,
We'll,
With that
Joe.
we'll
being
be in
said,
touch soon. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
It was a blast.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
thanks to all the guys in the chat room, and you guys did a great job as always. And I will
Thanks,
see you guys next week.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.